You have a fever right now, not literally, but somewhere in the last year your body temperature spiked, your joints ached, and you did what every modern human does. You reached for something. A pill, a drink, a doctor's number. You had options. Ancient humans had none of that. No medicine, no hospitals, no one who knew what a virus even was. And yet, they survived. For 200,000 years, they got sick, they suffered, and somehow, most of them lived. So what exactly were they doing? Because here's the part nobody tells you. They weren't just toughing it out, they had a system. And parts of that system are still running inside your body right now, whether you know it or not. Let's start with what getting sick actually meant for an ancient human. You wake up, your head is pounding, your body feels like something sat on it, and you cannot move. In the modern world, that means a sick day. In the ancient world, that means you are not hunting, you are not gathering, you are not contributing. And if you are not contributing, you are a liability to the group. Early human bands were small. Researchers estimate most groups had between 20 and 50 people. Everyone had a role. A body that stopped working was not just a personal problem, it was a group emergency. So the very first thing ancient humans did when someone got sick was make a decision. Do we wait? Do we move? Do we leave them? And the answer, backed by fossil evidence, is almost always the same. They waited. In 1908, in a cave in La Chapelle-aux-Sound in France, archaeologists found a Neanderthal skeleton. He was old. His teeth were almost completely gone. His spine was badly arthritic. His jaw had healed from a serious break. He had been, for years before he died, almost entirely dependent on other people to survive. Someone had been feeding him, chewing food for him, keeping him alive, 60,000 years ago. This is what paleoanthropologists now call prosocial behavior, the ancient human drive to care for the sick and the weak. And it shows up not just once in the fossil record, but again and again. A child with a bone disease in Vietnam, 300,000 years ago, who survived years past when the disease should have killed them. A hunter in Iraq with a withered arm, a missing eye, and severe joint damage, clearly cared for by his group for years before his death. Ancient humans didn't have medicine, but they had each other, and that was not nothing. But here is where it gets strange, because ancient humans were not just passively caring for the sick, they were actively treating them, and some of what they were doing worked. In 1960, a Neanderthal burial site called Shanidar Cave in Iraq yielded something extraordinary. Pollen, massive quantities of pollen, clustered around a body buried 60,000 years ago. The pollen came from 8 specific plant species: yarrow, groundsel, grape hyacinth, joint pine, plants that are still used today in folk medicine across the Middle East and Europe. Were they deliberately placing medicinal plants with the dead? Were those plants being used on the sick before death? The debate has never fully settled. But here is what we do know. Yarrow is a natural antiseptic and anti-inflammatory. Joint pine contains compounds still used today in decongestants. Groundsel has been used to treat pain for thousands of years. They didn't know any of this scientifically, but they knew it worked. Trial and error, passed down through generations, created the world's first pharmacy. Not written down, not understood, just remembered. And then there is the fever itself. Modern medicine spent decades trying to suppress fevers. Ancient humans had no choice but to let them run. And it turns out, that was the right call. A fever is not the illness. A fever is your immune system turning up the heat to kill pathogens that cannot survive above a certain temperature. Every ancient human who survived a fever survived because their body did exactly what it was designed to do. No intervention required. So how widespread was this? How much did ancient humans actually know? More than we assumed for a very long time. In Tanzania, researchers studying modern Hadza hunter-gatherers, one of the last groups on Earth still living the way ancient humans did, found that they use over 60 different plant species for medicinal purposes. Bark for infections, roots for fever, leaves crushed and applied directly to wounds. None of it random, none of it guesswork. All of it specific, consistent, and passed down with precision. In Borneo, orangutans have been observed chewing specific leaves and rubbing the paste directly onto wounds. The leaves contain compounds with proven anti-inflammatory properties. If a non-human primate figured this out independently, ancient humans almost certainly did too. And they had the advantage of language to share what they learned. Every piece of plant knowledge that survived long enough to be passed on represented a human who tested it, survived, and told someone else. The ones who got it wrong didn't make it into the chain. Natural selection, running not just through genetics, but through knowledge itself. By the time the first written medical texts appeared, Egyptian papyri, around 1550 BC, they were not inventing medicine. They were writing down what had already been known for 100,000 years. Which brings us to you, right now, in the 21st century. When you get sick and do nothing, when you sleep, drink water, and wait, you are doing exactly what your ancestors did. And your body is running the same program it has been running for 200,000 years. Fever to kill the pathogen, fatigue to force rest and redirect energy to the immune response. Loss of appetite to starve the infection of the nutrients it needs to replicate. These are not symptoms. They are strategies. Ancient, evolved, ruthlessly effective strategies that predate every drug ever made. And the care instinct, the thing that made ancient humans stay with the sick instead of abandoning them, that is still there too. You feel it when someone brings you soup, when someone sits with you, when someone says, "I will stay." It is 60,000 years old at minimum, probably much older. Psychologists call it sickness behavior. The cluster of responses your brain triggers when your immune system fires up. The withdrawal, the need for warmth, the craving for social contact. It was not designed for comfort, it was designed for survival. Because ancient humans who went through sickness alone died more often than those who didn't. The soup isn't just kindness, it is evolution, running a program it wrote a very long time ago. Ancient humans had no doctors, no pills, no understanding of germ theory. And they built a system of survival that modern medicine is still catching up to in some ways. They stayed with each other, they remembered what worked, and they trusted a body that had been solving this problem long before anyone thought to write it down. Here is what I want to know. When you are sick, do you fight every symptom, or do you let your body do its thing? Drop it in the comments. That is what Brain Glitch is all about. See you in the next one.